So Netflix just dropped a new South London series that has X-Men flavors in it. Not Marvel, but X-Men. I say that because it's all character based. The superpowers that our characters go on and get are superfluous to the story that is experienced. Whether it's any good, let's discuss. A group of seemingly ordinary people from South London unexpectedly develop superpowers. They don't seem to have a connection between them aside from being black. So there's 6 episodes, round about 45 minutes to an hour depending on the episode, and I would say for the most part this was an entertaining ride. It does outstay its welcome. I think it's a bit stretched out in the middle. Well, within each episode there are moments that I thought they could have skipped over, but what stands out to me is the way it's filmed. The cinematography between the powers, the way they showcase that's all very entertaining. If you think about series like The Gifted, which was an X-Men series, there's been a number that we've had. The Runaways.
What's going on?
I have so many questions.
That have been okay. Now, the director really wanted to get away from the MCU, that kind of thinking when it comes to people with superpowers, and really do a showcase for what it's like living in South London. I guess if you're black, because the 99% of people showcased in this series are black. It is literally try and find the white guy, which is fine. The majority of people living in South London, I think, are black. So it does have a systemic theme of racism told throughout it, like kind of pointing a face. And sometimes it's preachy, and sometimes it's just on the nose, and sometimes it's just there kind of a character as the story continues. And we have 5 characters that we flow on, which I like, is because each of the characters showcase a different lifestyle. It's not like all people that live in South London are just ghetto, yo. No, we get those, but we also get the people that are living what I guess society would call the norm, but that's just whatever you're brought up in, wherever you grow, whatever your circumstances are, that's where you find yourself in life. And that's kind of what's showcased here. So we have a guy that is happily married, well, a guy that is going to be engaged to the woman he loves, known her for years. Everything is kind of going right for him. And then the opposite of that, we have a ghetto gang leader that is trying to, I guess, control and be the top of his hood. You have a woman that is trying to progress in her career, that she thinks that because of her skin color that is holding her back. So each of the 5 have different life experiences, and the first episode really showcases that. We get a little bit of the superpower stuff, apart from the instigating moment, the climactic moment introducing us to what this series is going to be like. And the way they introduce that is pretty gritty. That's what I quite like about some of the episodes. There are moments in this that they really go quite dark, they go real. And I felt like that's what, if you're going to talk about anything positive in this series, you talk about the character, the realistic look at the people, and then the story, so that when people get these powers, when they manifest in their powers, much like the X-Men when they come into some sort of emotional state. I think X-Men is normally when they are coming out of puberty. This is more an emotional state, something to trigger it, and then they become the Supacell and have various abilities. Someone, like the characters we've seen, someone has super speed, someone has super strength, someone can teleport, lightning, all of that kind of stuff is showcased very well on screen. It looks good, but that's by the by. We really concentrate on the characters. So if you're expecting a series like X-Men, but in the south of London, that's full of like loads of action sequences, that's not really what you're getting here. If you took the superpowers out of this series, it would be a look at what it's like to live in South London, a realistic look for the most part, obviously told by the perspective of the writer and creator who did live in South London, and so it's as authentic as you're going to get it from that person's perspective. So when I say realistic, it's always from someone else's perspective, but it does have a nice sort of vibe to it, that the balance of that, the fact that they're concentrating on characters, you do care for them or are invested in what's going on, whether you're rooting for them or not, to find out what's going to happen, and then when you get the superpowered stuff, it's over and beyond and above. That's all kind of the positives. The negatives would be that some of the scripting really feels like a soap. So although the dialogue seems realistic somewhat, it does come across as a little bit EastEnders or Emmerdale. Not quite Emmerdale, but more EastEnders. Sometimes those reactions, even the setup shots inside of the houses between the two women sort of bickering, it just felt a little bit soapy. More drama than a TV series drama, but more drama on the soap sort of style. And I guess not everybody will have issues with that. I didn't really have an issue. It just kind of took me out of it a little bit because I was experiencing some beautiful cinematography, well placed story, character arc developments, concentrating on who these people are, wonderfully told in pacing, and then we'd come to this weird kind of dialogue and the soapy feeling. That's okay. That's a minor niggle, minor negative. I did feel like they established what they were trying to do, and I think the outcome is pretty evident. It is fun. It is dark and gritty when it needs to be, and the acting for the most part is really good. I enjoyed what these characters brought with each of their characters. I felt they were defined enough for you to know that each walk and lifestyle is different, and when they are kind of forced together to come together, you are sort of rooting for them. It's very much more X-Men than MCU. Even some of the storylines that we've had in the X-Men are very familiar to what is going on here, so it might be influenced by that, especially that early 80s X-Men. But that's not a diss. The early 80s X-Men had great storytelling, were not afraid to talk about certain themes, being a part in that kind of sci-fi fantasy realm. And TV series have been doing that. Good TV series have been doing that for ages. The original Star Trek, way back when, Generations, was not afraid to, point some fingers and throw some punches at some of the themes that they were using their storytelling device to get people to maybe have a little bit wide-eyed. Now, I think the series will probably push some buttons of people that don't like to be preached at or think that they are being slapped. And if you are really offended by something like this, then you maybe need to take a look at yourself and realize these might be something that you need to work on. For me, I thought it was a fun, entertaining ride. Minor niggles. I'm going to give it 3.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
You got one.
Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below about this. What did you think? Filming techniques, acting, writing. Would you like more of this? When you finish it, I'd love to know your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.